Central Town. Town Commons. Casper says so many people. Otto says everyone, listen. We all know why we're here. Nothing I'm going to say will be a surprise. Nothing I'm going to say hasn't already been spoken behind closed doors, whispered to your neighbors. Nothing I'm going to say is untruthful, so it's time we started saying it openly. Year after year, the Abbey has found new ways to tax the peasants. Piece by piece, the Abbey has taken away our rights to use God's forest to support our families. Law after law gets heaped upon us. Restrictions on how we can pay rent, limits on where we can move, who we can wed. And now the death tax, which once claimed only our best animal and garment, takes half our estate. No consideration for widows. No consideration for children. Ulrich says, what about the town council, the Rathaus? Surely that is a sign that the abbot wishes to share his power, to listen to our grievances. Otto says, you have a good heart, Ulrich. You always want to see the best in people. But no. The council is a way for the abbot to divide us, to pit a favored few against the many. This is not charity. No, only greed and desperation drive Father Gernot. You'd think that if the abbot could, he'd steal a dead man's soul from heaven itself. And when we protested, what did Father Gernot do? He locked the shrine of Saint Moritz. He won't allow the people of this town, the farmers of this land, to pray before the relic. Now, when we most need the intercession of our saint, the abbot has shut us out. Father Gernot's actions aren't just. They aren't Christian. We've endured this abuse for too long. It's time we let the abbot know we won't take it anymore. Hetty says too right. Ulrich says here. Brigitte says yeah. Peter says this has. Martin says let's fix this. Hannah says stop. This is foolish. Soldiers are already patrolling nearby towns. If you push against the abbey, you'll incur the Duke's wrath. You could get the town razed and everyone killed. Lenhart says Hannah's right. The Duke is a powerful force in Bavaria. You're playing a dangerous game, Otto. You lot are no match for trained soldiers. If you don't relent, you'll be ground into dust like the Swabian peasants. Peter says we could always grind you up. Brigitte says they might be right if they're. Hetty says I don't know about this. Ulrich says we must stand for what is right. Martin says. Otto says don't be shy. Speak up, if you have cause. Martin says we won't be overrun. The peasants of Salzburg were able to take the city and have their cause heard. If the people can get the Archbishop of Salzburg to listen to them, then we can do the same with the abbot. Casper says Master Andreas, do you think my family in Salzburg is all right? Option 1 of 4 your family are merchants, I doubt they got mixed up in all that. Option 2 of 4 don't worry. The civilian losses were minimal, they're probably fine. Option 3 of 4 I don't know, Casper, but we can find out. Option 4 of 4 quiet, Casper. I'm trying to listen. Option 3 of 4 I don't know, Casper, but we can find out. Casper says, all right. Martin says enough is enough. We can't stand by while the abbot continues treating us poorly. People all over Swabia are taking back their God-given rights. Why shouldn't we do the same? Agnes says a righteous. Kot says Martin's right. Veronica says we does. Big Jurg says we can do this. Otto says well spoken, Martin. Everyone ought to consider what he's said. Martin has proved dependable these last few years. But if the words of men can't persuade you, perhaps a sign from a greater power will. The abbot may have locked us out of our saint's shrine, but God has shown me that he is with us. I think that's all I should say for now. Thank you all for coming. Clara says good day, Andreas. Option 1 of 2 CLARA. It's been too long. It's lovely to see you again. Option 2 of 2 HELLO, Clara. How are you? Option 1 of 2 CLARA. It's been too long. It's lovely to see you again. Eva says hello, Andreas. I'm surprised to see you after your long absence from Tassing. At this rate, we thought we'd never see you again. Option 1 of 3 WHAT. Can I say, I missed the alpine air. And the people, of course. Option 2 of 3 I was on the road back to Nuremberg, actually, and wondered how you all were getting on. Option 3 of 3 I was gone too long. I'm sorry for not sending word of my arrival. Option 1 of 3 WHAT. Can I say, I missed the alpine air. And the people, of course. Eva says how could you not? Clara says we're in the middle of a strange season. Otto says you've found the Gertners. Clara says your speech was very rousing, Otto. I swear, they get better each time. Option 1 of 2 I hope the Duke doesn't catch word of this, Otto. The town could suffer for it. Option 2 of 2 Are you looking for trouble, Otto? Option 1 of 2 I hope the Duke doesn't catch word of this, Otto. The town could suffer for it. Otto says we're past the point of caring, Mailer. If you were in our position, you'd understand that. Option 1 of 2 you rewrite. It's not my place to judge. I'm just concerned. Option 2 of 2 say nothing. Option 1 of 2 you rewrite. It's not my place to judge. I'm just concerned. Otto says it's appreciated, but we know the risks. Player says Otto, did you really see a sign from God? Is that true? Otto says it is, Andreas. I swear. Come talk to me later, I'll tell you what I can. All right? Clara says, anyway, Andreas, you and yours should come by the house for supper. We'd be delighted to have you. Option 1 of 2 THAT sounds wonderful. We'll be there, Clara. Option 2 of 2 SOUND good to you, Casper? Casper says yes, Master Andreas. I'm starving. Clara says our table is a little sparse lately, but we'll be sure to feed you well. Player says thank you. We'll see you there. Johann Bauer Farm. Town Commons. Johann says Andreas Mailer. Didn't expect to ever see you back in Tassing. You look like you've done well for yourself. Option 1 of 2 thanks. And how have you been? Option 2 of 2 it may look like it but it doesn't feel like it. Option 1 of 2 thanks. And how have you been? Johann says things went well for a while after you left. Widow Kemperin lost her land and the abbot let us work it. My brother's heart gave out not long after, but then Martin came back to help work the land. Even so, it's been hard to keep up with the abbot's demands, the taxes, and everything else. Option 1 of 2 it sounds like a lot of people are upset with the abbot these days. Option 2 of 2 millimeters. Well, I'm really just passing through. Option 1 of 2 it sounds like a lot of people are upset with the abbot these days. Johann says they have good reason to be. I know you got on well with the man, but things have gotten much worse since your last visit. Father Matthias never let things get this bad. Anyway, good to see you, Andreas, even if you are just passing through. Player says until later. Johann says Andreas. Hans says hey, Andreas. Heard rumor you were back. Player says hello, Hans. Meet Casper, my apprentice. Casper says hello. Hans says hello. Are you from Nuremberg like Andreas? Casper says I'm from Salzburg. Hans says is that very far from here? Casper says not too far, I think. A few days to the east on horseback. Hans says I've never been outside of Tassing. Or ridden a horse. Option 1 of 2 Tassing is a wonderful place to live. Option 2 of 2 you should get out of this place while you're young, Hans. It's a shithole. Option 1 of 2 Tassing is a wonderful place to live. Hans says I guess. Some of the men in town say it would be better if the abbey weren't around. Option 1 of 3 And you'd have to contend with a lord. That's hardly better. Option 2 of 3 might be right about that. What do you think? Option 3 of 3 are worse things in this world than Father Gernot's taxes, Hans. Option 2 of 3 might be right about that. What do you think? Hans says I don't know. Could be nice to have a change. Player says be careful what you wish for. Change does not come peacefully in the Empire. Hans says I guess we'll see. Player says until then, Hans. Johann. Hans says hello. Gertner Farm. Town Commons. Johann. Hans. Hetty. Johann Bauer. Hetty says hello. Andreas. Martin Bauer and Widow Kemperin. Johann. Brigitte. Brigitte says hello. Andreas. Option 1 of 2 Hello. Brigitte. How are you? Option 2 of 2 Hello. Brigitte. I'm surprised you knew I was back. Option 1 of 2 Hello. Brigitte. How are you? Brigitte says as well as anyone can be in Tassing right now. Option 1 of 2 looks like things are going well for you. Martin returned, after all. Option 2 of 2 Well. No wonder, with Martin back in town. Option 1 of 2 looks like things are going well for you. Martin returned, after all. Brigitte says yes. The winter without him was excruciating. Especially after what happened to Dad. I lost little Wolf, and Kot was worried that she'd lose the farm after France died. But then Martin returned, and he's provided well for us ever since. Despite the tightening restrictions, we've gotten by. I'm thankful. Option 1 of 3 that's wonderful to hear. I'm happy for you. Option 2 of 3 that's nice. Option 3 of 3 I am sorry to hear about Wolf. Brigitte says. Thank you. I try not to think about it. Option 1 of 2 you don't want to remember him? Option 2 of 2 not regretfully. Brigitte says Kot wants to talk about him all the time, you know. Any night there's clear skies. She looks up and asks if I ever wonder how he is up there. Player says that must be excruciating. Brigitte says. Yes. It is. I'm sorry, Andreas. I can't talk about this anymore. Option 1 of 2 mistake. Player says was that a good idea? Why did you think she'd want to talk about her dead son? Were you trying to hurt her? Does it feel good to you, hurting the wounded? Option 1 of 2 I was trying to be kind. Option 2 of 2. Option 1 of 2 I was trying to be kind. Player says does she seem like she has been gifted with a kindness? No. You wouldn't want someone to talk to you about it. That's why you don't mention it. Option 1 of 2 I can't take this any. Option 2 of 2. Option 1 of 2 I can't take this anymore. Player says you can. We say these things even though the reminding inflicts immense pain. We say these things because it's the only way through. Option 1 of 2 I am sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. Option 2 of 2. Option 1 of 2 I am sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. Player says then say that. But will it make any difference? Option 1 of 2 mistake. Option 2 of 2 I am sorry I brought him up. Brigitte. Brigitte says you didn't know. It's all right. It's been good to see you again, but I should be going. Until later. Player says until then. Brigitte. Brigitte says hello, Andreas. Brigitte. Martin. Martin. Martin says Andreas Mailer. Good to see you again after all these years. Option 1 of 2 I am surprised you'd say that. Your parting words to me back then were hardly kind. Option 2 of 2 and you as well. Option 1 of 2 I am surprised you'd say that. Your parting words to me back then were hardly kind. Martin says were they? It's been so long, I don't remember. Option 1 of 2 while you told me to eat shit. Option 2 of 2 it was pretty rude. Option 1 of 2 while you told me to eat shit. Martin says oh, God that's bad. I was such a little shit, haha, well, sorry for being such an asshole back then. Option 1 of 2 it seems like you've learned a lot since then. Option 2 of 2 it's nothing to feel bad about. It was a long time ago. Option 1 of 2 it seems like you've learned a lot since then. Martin says 7 years is a long time for a young man, especially one going through what I was. Player says what happened to you, anyway? Martin says oh. Right. You know I stole some of the Baron's things. I didn't make it far with them. I tried to sell them in Walga and I got robbed. Serves me right, I guess. Luckily they didn't find the coins I was carrying. The money carried me around Bavaria for another month and a half. Then I started stealing. I grew bigger and more confident over time and became a highwayman. Option 1 of 2 while you were a bandit. Option 2 of 2 you re lucky you didn't get killed. Option 1 of 2 while you were a bandit. Martin says hard to believe, I know, but yes. Anyway, it didn't last long. I eventually got scared out of it. I had a partner for the last year of my adventures. We tried to rob some Italians. We thought they were merchants traveling under the banner of St. George. Player says, but they were soldiers guarding money from the Bank of St. George in Genoa. Martin says exactly. I learned that later. My partner didn't survive the encounter. I was wounded and alone in the wilderness. I thought of my father, my mother, Brigida. I realized I couldn't remember Wolf's face anymore. I had to come back and take up the responsibilities I had left behind. Option 1 of 3 while you are a prodigal son for our age. Option 2 of 3 it's good that you did, for everyone's sake. Option 3 of 3 was coming back difficult? Martin says it was. It felt like I had stepped out of another life into this one. It took me a while to get used to everything, to remember how things used to be. It's all in the past now. Just need to look forward. Option 1 of 2 that was quite a speech you gave back at the Commons. Option 2 of 2 that's a good attitude. I'll talk to you later, Martin. Option 1 of 2 that was quite a speech you gave back at the Commons. Martin says he needs support. The townsfolk aren't as committed to opposing the abbot. They have less to gain and more to lose if the abbot chooses to get the duke involved. Anyway, I have to get back to work. Good talking to you, Andreas. Player says all right. Until later. Martin. Caught. Caught says Andreas. Andreas Mailer. Player says hello, Caught. Caught says well, would you look at that. You are back in Tassing, and look at you. You've done well for yourself. And who's this? Player says Caught, please meet Casper, my apprentice. Casper says hello. Caught says he's got the posture of an artist, that's for sure. Good strong face, though. Casper says I do. Caught says what brings you back to Tassing, Andreas? Player says just passing through on the way back to Nuremberg. Option 1 of 2 how have you been, Caught? You seem well. Option 2 of 2 I saw Martin earlier. I must say, I was surprised to see him. Option 1 of 2 how have you been, Caught? You seem well. Caught says I feel well. The past few years have been challenging, but I am stronger now for the Lord's trials. France passed a few winters ago. Then Wolf. Brigida and I nearly lost the farm, and our mines. But Martin returned shortly after, and he's proved to be a changed man. A good man. He saved us from destitution. Option 1 of 3 Lord's blessings often arrive in a fashion mysterious to us. But they are blessings all the same. Option 2 of 3 I'd been wondering where Wolf was. I'm so sorry, caught. Option 3 of 3 My condolences on France's passing. Option 1 of 3 The Lord's blessings often arrive in a fashion mysterious to us. But they are blessings all the same. Player says curious that yours came in the form of literal prodigal son. Caught says ha. I suppose he his. In truth, fear my trials would have broken me were it not for the care of Father Thomas. He counseled me through difficult feelings when France passed. Option 1 of 2 My condolences on France's passing. Option 2 of 2 I am glad you had him to support you in finding peace. Caught says were it not for him and Johann's family, I don't know what we would have done. Those were dark days, Andreas. But they are over now. Times may be hard in Tassing right now, but God truly does answer our prayers. Player says I'm glad you and your family are well, Caught, despite everything. Caught says thank you, Andreas. It truly is good to see you again, even in the midst of such terrible times. Player says until later, Caught. Caught says until then. Caught. Hello, Andreas. Martin Bauer House. Church and Druckers. Town Commons. Church and Druckers. Martin Mill. Thomas. Our Lady of the Labyrinth. Thomas. Thomas says God bless you, Our Lady of the Labyrinth. Church and Druckers. Player says. Option 1 of 3 This must be what the church is named for, a Marian apparition in Tassing's history. Option 2 of 3 a painting of the Virgin Mary. What does the labyrinth symbolize? Option 3 of 3 This must be the labyrinth the church is named after. Interesting. Option 2 of 3 a painting of the Virgin Mary. What does the labyrinth symbolize? Player says. Option 1 of 3 This must be what the church is named for, a Marian apparition in Tassing's history. Player says. Option 3 of 3 This must be the labyrinth the church is named after. Interesting. Church and Druckers. Our Lady of the Labyrinth. Thomas says God bless Mill. Else says bless you, Master Mailer. Muller House. Else, Outer Farms. Anton says hello, Master Mailer. Carl says hello, Andreas. Carl. Martha says hi. Player says hello. Are you Helena's daughter? Martha says I'm Martha. Player says I'm Andreas. Nice to meet you. Martha says all right. I'm going to go. Martha. Hi. Helena says Andreas Mailer. I never thought I'd see you back here again. Option 1 of 2 neither did I. Option 2 of 2 I came back to pay my respects to Brother Pierrot. Helena says I'm sorry. I didn't know the man, but I heard others speak well of him. Player says how have you been, Helena? Helena says well, little Martha managed to survive since your last visit, thank God. But lately, not so well. You must know about the taxes we have to deal with. Otto is trying to make the abbot see some sense, but I'm worried he's playing with fire. Carl and Peter and the other farmers support him, but it's dangerous to provoke the Duke. Anton's still too young to get mixed up in all this, and we have Martha to look after now. Option 1 of 3 it sounds like the peasants can't really survive with the way things are. Option 2 of 3 maybe the townsfolk can talk them down. Option 3 of 3 things already feel like they're getting out of hand. Option 1 of 3 it sounds like the peasants can't really survive with the way things are. Helena says it's going to be a hard winter, for certain. But I'd take a skinny husband over a dead one. I pray nothing happens to him. Now then, I'd best get back to my work. Until later, Andreas. Player says until then. Helena. Helena says God bless you, Andrea, Helena, Marth, Car, Anton, Mill. Outer Farm, Church, L, Muller House. Mill. Lenhart. Lenhart. Lenhart says Andreas. Welcome back to Tassing. Option 1 of 3 HELLO, Lenhart. House. Option 2 of 3 Lenhart. Option 3 of 3 UH. Option 1 of 3 HELLO, Lenhart. How's the mill? Lenhart says sturdy as ever, just like me. You look well. Not stuck with the Gertners this time, eh? Option 1 of 2 NO, I'm staying in the Abbey's guest house. Option 2 of 2 THE Gertners are lovely people, Lenhart. I didn't want to burden them, as I'll only be here a few days. Lenhart says hat. Whatever you say. You have such a curious fascination with the peasants. Probably because you don't have to deal with them as often as the rest of us. Anyway, you should come by sometime. I'm sure we'll have a lot to discuss. Good day, Andreas. Option 1 of 2 God day. Option 2 of 2 remain silent. Option 1 of 2 God day. Lenhart. Lenhart says Andreas. Mill. Paul. Paul says hello, Master Mailer. Player says hello, Paul. Meet Casper, my assistant. Casper says oh, hello. Paul says do you work with Master Mailer? Have you done real art? Casper says I guess. I've been doing sketches of Tassing while we're here. Option 1 of 3 ALL art created from the artist's heart is real art, Paul. Option 2 of 3 it took me years of practice to make what I thought was real art, Paul. Option 3 of 3 you re better off working the mill, Paul. The life of an artist is a life of drudgery. Option 1 of 3 ALL art created from the artist's heart is real art, Paul. Player says you don't need fancy paints or canvases to be an artist. Paul says you think so? Player says sure. How's your art going? Paul says SHH. Not where Dad can hear. Player says oh, right, how's the art going? Paul says haha. I've been practicing a lot more. Klaus even showed me a big book full of prints. He said they used a technique called woodcutting. Have you ever done woodcutting, Master Mailer? Option 1 of 2 I did some while in Krakow. The woodcuts take ages to create, but can be reused like Klaus printing press. Option 2 of 2 NO, I spent most of my time learning the finer techniques of oil painting. Option 1 of 2 I did some while in Krakow. The woodcuts take ages to create, but can be reused like Klaus printing press. Paul says that's amazing. I wish Dad would change his mind about art. Option 1 of 2 maybe one day, Paul. You never know. Option 2 of 2 just keep your head down. Option 1 of 2 maybe one day, Paul. You never know. Paul says I hope so. I should get back to helping my dad. See you later, Master Mailer. See you, Casper. Player says until then. Paul. Pet stop. Paul. Mill. Muller House. Roman ruins. Mill. 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 Roman ruins, meadow. Mill. Golden Hand Inn. Golden Hand Inn. Meadow. Killian says good day, Master Mailer. Killian. Hannah. Hannah says hello, Master Mailer. Killian says good day, Master Killian. Nico. Nico says hello, Andreas. Samuel. Samuel says hello, Andreas. Nico. Killian. Meadow. Golden Hand Inn, Church and Druckers. Meadow. Forest. Smokey's home. Forest. Smokey. Smokey says oh, hello, Master Mailer. You're looking well, player says thank you, Smokey. How are you? Smokey says I'm well enough, I guess. Vaxlov went his way a few years ago, which I suppose was bound to happen. I miss the company sometimes, but now there's no one to keep me from my gossip. No one to tell it to, either. Option 1 of 2 HAVE I missed much? Option 2 of 2 MAYBE you should take it to confession, instead. Option 1 of 2 HAVE I missed much? Smokey says hat. The things I could tell you since you left Tassing, we'd be here till kingdom come. Option 1 of 2 OH? Option 2 of 2 remain silent. Option 1 of 2 OH? Smokey says I did see another Imperial Reichspost courier ride from the Abbey a few days ago. Brother Guy dropped the bag once. It looked heavy. The Abbey must be doing better than that Abbot is letting on. Option 1 of 2 DOES that happen often? Option 2 of 2 ID heard the Abbey was struggling with its funds. Option 1 of 2 DOES that happen often? Smokey says once or twice a month. Odd, with what the Abbot has been saying about the Abbey struggling. Doesn't help that the Abbot has tightened restrictions so close to St. John's Eve, too. The townsfolk get up to all sorts of mischief then. Option 1 of 2 OH no. I'm sure Father Gernot won't like that. Option 2 of 2 WHAT sort of mischief. Smokey says I'd wager Johann and Kot will find some corner to play in, again. It's practically tradition at this point. Veronica and Brigida might go out for a midnight dip by the waterfall, too. They've been swimming out there for years. Now everyone's getting clever, trying to stay out from the Abbot's eye. Option 1 of 2 he is a formidable man. Option 2 of 2 rightly so. He's an ass. Option 1 of 2 he is a formidable man. Player says I didn't see you in the town commons during Otto's speech. Aren't you standing with the peasants? Smokey says well, their cause doesn't really affect me, does it? I'm as worried as anyone about soldiers rushing through here, but the new taxes and restrictions don't bother me. I understand why they're upset, but I've been doing fine out here with less than they have. Nothing will change for me if they get their way. Option 1 of 3 YOU could still support them. Option 2 of 3 I see. Option 3 of 3 remain silent. Option 1 of 3 YOU could still support them. Smokey says I don't want to get involved. I'm fine as I am, supporting them would be the proper Christian thing to do, I guess. But when have any of them done the Christian thing for me? Option 1 of 3 YOU give them what they need and so they will be indebted to you. This creates a structure of obligation. Option 2 of 3 YOU provide a useful service. Take pride in that. Option 3 of 3 The Christian way is to help without expecting anything in return. It's the giving that counts. Option 1 of 3 YOU give them what they need and so they will be indebted to you. This creates a structure of obligation. Smokey says I don't know, Andreas. I've given them my work for years, but they refuse to treat me right. They mock me for my blind faith, since I have to keep a constant eye on the kill, for days on end, and can't go to church as often. They laugh at the way I stink. I can't help that, you know. Option 1 of 2 HENCE1 must be even stronger of heart to forgive them their follies. Option 2 of 2 YO, you know, you're right. You don't owe them shit. Smokey says ungrateful bastards, is what they are. Ah well. Enough of that. Thanks for stopping by, Master Mailer. Player says until later, Smokey. Smokey says until then. Forest. Smokey, Smokey. Forest. Meadow. Meadow. Shrine of Saint Sasha. Forest. Shrine of Waterfall. The waterfall must flow down from the snowmelt in the old salt mine. Waterfall. Old salt mine. Forest. Shrine of Saint Meadow. Meadow. Forest. Pet Schlap Mill. Golden Hand Inn. Church and Druckers. Meadow. Thomas Mill. Martin Bauer and Widow Kemp. Drucker House. Central Town. Central Town. Steinauer House.